what better way to play racing games except with gamepads and controllers? Well, not all of us put that much effort into mobile gaming, but still, we care about quality and whether if it's a game full of ads or not. All things considered, here's some of the most realistic offline racing games to play on your Android and iOS right now. First things first, with a 4.8 out of 5 and over 1 million downloads since a few months ago only. Number 1, we have Rally Horizon. It's actually coming from the same creators of Heat Gear, that's almost $1 million game in scale, but Rally Horizon is in fact neck and a head above anything the company's had to offer to this day as a free game. This game is playable entirely offline as of last month. It's got a great multiplayer, it has only in-app purchases, lots of cars, lots of events, maps. It's literally console quality graphics. Asphalt 8, however, could be played online or offline. We wouldn't call this an honorable mention because it is right now one of the top 3 most realistic racing games on the Play Store. And amongst this top 3, there's also Asphalt 9. However, this game is sitting on the Google and the App Store with over 100 million downloads. If you prefer your racing games online, offline, this thing works with the controller. It takes you over 3 GB of storage, however, and is the only Asphalt game on Android we highly recommend to play offline. Moving on to number 3, this might have as well be number 1. Real Racing 3 is actually the crown jewel of all offline racing sim games, specifically if you're into Formula 1. Real Racing is actually published by EA Games and has been fine-tuned and polished ever since 10 years ago. It features a large collection of cars and a nice little variety of modes to keep you engaged for quite a while. Overall, it boosts high-quality graphics, some of the best sound effects, a career mode, and even a multiplayer. Play it. Coming in at number 4, we have Drive Division. Now, I mentioned this game last week. Truth be told, Drive Division is no better than any Asphalt game in quality, but it is definitely one of the few competitors that are new too. The drifting physics of this game is just out of the world. It plays offline, and since last week, it's downloaded close to 100,000 times. It's got a 5 out of 5 rating on both stores, and the only thing you have to pay for is the extra content, such as, the new maps. The whole thing's 1.3 gigabytes in size. On Android it's less than a gigabyte, and that's all there's to it. Guys, look, throughout 2024, we've actually had a good few motor racing games, but nothing really remotely even close to Pro Motor over here. As in for pace, however. Not only this game offers over 100 different bikes to unlock, it offers one of the most thrilling paces for a racing game that at times just feels like a movie. Unfortunately, Pro Motor is only on Android and not coming to iOS. It's a free game, however, and takes you a whopping 1 GB of storage. Grid Autosport is a paid game. It's actually a $10 console game, or console quality you could say, that is sitting on the Google and the App Store with a 4.3 and close to 200,000 downloads, which is not nothing for a $10 game. It's got an off right now. You might as well just go for it if you're a racing game fanatic. It's only in the list because it is definitely one of the most graphically demanding racing games ever. It plays offline, online with a controller. The touchscreens are pretty decent, and it's more than a realistic sim game than a racing. With over 100 million downloads and a 4.5 out of 5, we've got Drift Max Pro. You see, this game is legitimately the best stunt racing and drift offering driving game that you can play on mobiles, and what I would say is probably a downside of it is that it's a big game in size. It's close to 2 gigabytes. There's a chance you couldn't play it if you've got a low-end device. However, if you could afford that, it's a free game and it might just be the ultimate realistic drift racing game on the Play Store. It's got really good graphics, lots of cars, and even more ads if you play it online. Anyway, it's free all the way. Now, that being said, coming from the famous developers of the Taxi Driver 3D, in fact, there's over 20 mobile games, each with 100,000 downloads on the Play Store. We've got to read the team's new work going by the name Nitro Racing Rivals, which is, as you can see, a racing game. Well, partially street racing with a couple of dozens of different stages and a nice range of sport cars to choose from. You can play this one offline, of course, with the controller, which we recommend. It's a free game and the whole thing is just 200 megabytes in total. Definitely one of the best games you can play with a low-end device. A quick mention with this one. I believe that this is such a good game, it doesn't even need recognition. Turbo Tornado over here is the #1 substitute I could recommend if you're done with the Car Wreck series of games. It is actually an open world, midnight driving and racing, just right up there in quality with Need for Speed. Console ports, it plays offline, it's no more than 500 megabytes in total, and it offers some of the finest visuals an open world racing game ever could on the Play Store with less than a gigabyte of storage requirement. Definitely a 10 out of 10. Moving on to number 10, I've actually wanted to mention this for a while now. It's finally here in the list, it's a fitting list. We have Crash of Cars, downloaded over 10 million times and rated a 4.5 out of 5 on both stores. It's a vehicle combat, offline and real-time multiplayer shooter. It's not a realistic racing game or a realistic sim, but for a little bit of a shift, because it's a long list, it offers one of the most enjoyable physics and combat systems this particular genre has to offer. Play it, thank me later if you haven't already. This game is only 200 megabytes in total. We've mentioned Car Sim San Andreas before, and we believe it's the finest San Andreas and realistic racing game cloned off of the Grand Theft Auto that's actually sitting on the Play Store for free. I believe this is definitely a neck and a head above the rest of the games in the list, even though it's just 350 megabytes in total, and goes pretty much toe-to-toe with games as big as Gangs of Vegas in graphics, handling, physics. Frankly, it's just mind-blowing how well it works on low-end devices. 20 out of 10, it's offline all the way and has a 4.7 out of 5. Number 12, we would actually like to give this one a special recommendation because it's a better game than anything you've probably ever played for the past 6 months, especially if you are into the racing games. You see, RaceMax Pro was just awarded as the #2 highest rated offline racing game on the Play Store. On some reasons, this game even has a 5 out of 5 rating. It's already been downloaded over 1 million times, and amongst its fine qualities, it's a brilliant physics, almost perfect graphics with adjustable everything for different players. 120 out of 10. Project Offroad 3 has been around since, I don't know, December, but only last week it came over to the West globally on the Play Store, and it's a sequel to this almost perfect off-road driving simulation series of games. This time it casts a pretty large range of new cars, day and night cycle, much better controls actually, and more than a few different modes to play through. So if you appreciate good physics and driving mechanics, this is probably our best recommendation. Now, What the Car has actually been out for nearly a year now, and we think it's one of the smoothest adventure games you can still think of. It's a racing game nonetheless, that's why it is in the list in the first place, but offers much more than just racing. For example, it's actually a sandbox, semi-open world, puzzle-solving game. You can build stuff and attach almost anything to your car for a different experience, like what you see here, a jetpack maybe, lakes. Unfortunately, this game is only on the Apple Store, and it has just received the patch. Yeah, this is a racing game, but if you appreciate something to relax with rather than just competition all day all along, I personally highly recommend Truck Sim 2024. Forget Bus Simulator, Indian Truck Simulator, or European Truck Simulator. This one over here is right now on the top of the charts with a 5 out of 5 rating and close to 100,000 downloads since last week. Truck Sim Europe, actually 2024, is definitely one of the most realistic and fine physics truck driving games of the year. It's no different than a PC game in overall quality, and what's better is it's a free offline game and has a near infinite amount of missions to keep you busy. Motor Rider is another pro bike racing game dropped this April, and we'd like to give a heads up if you want more of just the same. This game's downloaded close to 50,000 times since last week and has a 4.7 out of 5 rating, something you want to consider. And as far as the racing game goes, it's a pretty good indication. It's a stunt GT racing motorcycle sim with a fairly smooth gameplay, pretty good physics, graphics, and the whole thing is no more than 300 megabytes in total, plays entirely offline. Oh yeah guys, with a 4.8 out of 5 rating, just 1,000 downloads in the Play Store. Number 17, we have Monster Truck 3D. I found it pretty hard to believe in the beginning too, but this has to be one of the finest offline stunt monster truck racing games we've ever played. It's not even playable online. It starts pretty smooth, the gameplay is smooth, it has really good graphics considering it's just 150 megabytes all the way, and considering it's from an indie developer, I don't know how it works with a controller. With over 50 million downloads on both stores, Stock Car Racing just received the new patch and it made it over to Europe. Now this game was previously limited to half the regions, but developers finally made it available worldwide and with more content too. You can play this one either online or offline. The multiplayer is dope. Either way, it's one of the best low-end device supporting racing games that you can pick up right now for free, and one that offers enough content to keep you busy for months. Coming from the same developers who came out with Burnout Masters, actually a stunt racing game that came out to mobiles over 4 years ago, I've downloaded 1 million times. Road Burn Games, these developers just made their new racing game going by the name Drift Runner, which is a realistic drift racing sim rated a 5 out of 5 since last month. It's a big game in size, however, it takes you 1 whole gigabytes and is sitting on both the Google and the App Store. Just visit this page, watch the rating, read the reviews, you get a pretty good hang of what this game has to offer. Number 20, we have a couple of honorable mentions over here, of course, CarX Rally from the same old CarX Technologies developers. These folks have certainly brought joy with all CarX games, and certainly with how you can play this one in particular in offline. If you do visit the Google Play, you literally cannot find a negative review on this one, specifically since last month, as the game's fine-tuned to like a PlayStation 4 game in not just graphics but also controls. It offers one of the finest physics a mobile game can just offer in general. Play this one, the whole thing's no more than 600 megabytes in total. And yes, actually regarded as the best offline racing mobile game of all time, although that's not true, you could say this is probably the second or the third best. Either way, number 21 we have of course Asphalt Nitro, available on the Google Play with over 100 million downloads and a 4.5. This game is one of the most enjoyable racing and drifting games at the same time on the platform. It offers at times more than a console to mobile port in graphics. The only problem is that it probably could use more and different maps. Either way, it's a 3 gigabyte game in total. And last but not least, frankly, it's been a pretty long list and we're all tired, so why not? If you choose quality over quantity and you like something fresh, Rival Stars Horse Racing is probably one of the top 3 games that should have been in this list. Since it's not real cars that you're playing with, what I would like to say is that this is a AAA mobile game in quality and replay, and a better than any sport game has ever been ported to Android. Although you cannot entirely play this one offline, you gotta go offline midway. It's definitely the best horse racing game on the Play Store. Not for everyone, but definitely the pioneer of them all. Thanks for watching.